What is up YouTube, it's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we are here with another deck profile, this time for Premium, and a clan that I've gone over many times before. We are going to be talking about Hyakki. Now, out of the last clan collection, we did get some love for Hyakki and the archetype in general for Murakumo in the shape of a reverse unit for it. So I believe now that we have enough names in deck, it's actually really easy to grab a bunch of these, build a board, become super powerful. This is a very honest deck overall. The whole strategy is to just run over your opponent with absolutely huge columns, and it's very easy to do that. I feel like this is a very good, beginner friendly deck almost. It's a good way to get into Premium, and this deck is actually decently competitive. Like, you might not be at the absolute top tables, but I think if with a good pilot, you could definitely actually take this to a very competitive level in general. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let's hop right into the deck profile. I'll go into a test hand at the end. And I just wanted to quickly mention that if you are interested in purchasing any of the cards you see here today, we do have a DCG player affiliate link down in the description below. You can shop that link absolutely no cost to you to help support the channel. Also, if you are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel. Tons more profiles, game videos, kind of things like that coming up, as well as market watches. And then lastly, if you're on Twitter, go follow us on there. You can get a little more personal interaction, DM us, whatever the case is. You can see all our local results as well. So without further ado now, let's hop right into the main deck and then the G-Zone. Hopping right into the main deck itself, and it's raining right now. I don't know if you guys can kind of hear that. It's kind of a little bit loud, but it's fine. Over here, starting off with the main boss unit, this is going to be Hyakki, Covert Demonic Dragon Hyakki Vogue. So this guy has been around since, I think, Phantasmal Steed. That's when it came out, and it was really good at the time with, oh god, what was it, Hyoga, whatever the heck you want to call it. It was actually a really fun card, but I just remember playing that and being like, wow, this card is so broken at that time. Little did we know, though. But over here now, the whole strategy has kind of changed. Over here, its skill, act on Van or Rearguard Circle once per turn. Counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for up to 1 Covert Demonic Dragon Hyakki Vogue, call it to Rearguard Circle, and then shuffle your deck. If you have 5 or more units, call all your units with the same name unit as this guy. Over here, get an extra 10k until the end of turn. So this is a once per turn for this. You basically Counterblast 1, call out either a version of itself, or we're going to go over cards that kind of mimic the same name, and then anything with the same name. Basically, everything in this deck copies the same name, so you're gonna get like a universal field buff of like 10k on everywhere except Van. And then on top of that, there are ways to kind of recur some of the resources at the end of the game, so you're not just like hard negging the way that like normally this card reads. So overall, I feel like this is a pretty powerful card that's kind of translated well into Premium with the new stride that we did get out of the 2022 collection. So very happy with the results of this deck so far, and I am enjoying it. And over here, next up, this is going to be the next grade 3. As you could probably guess, this is going to be basically the same thing, just reverse. Hyakki Vogue reverse. So this guy's skill continues in deck, Van, or Rearguard Circle. This card is also regarded as Covert Demonic Dragon Hyakki Vogue. So again, still copies that name, so we'll see that universal power buff. And then its second skill, act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Soul Blast 1, search your deck for up to 3 cards with the same name as this unit, call them to Rearguard Circle, shuffle your deck, then choose the same number of rearguards as the number of units called, and then lock them. When your locked unit is unlocked during your end phase, you can put one of your rearguards onto the bottom of our deck, choose one of our rearguards, and then return it to hand. So you basically call another copy of itself, lock 2 other things that are already on the field. You just want to get Hyakkis on the field and then have one of these guys. So when you unlock it, you bounce it back to hand, get another Hyakki back to deck, kind of saving your resources, making sure that the field is clear, if you want to avoid stun burst or something like that. Overall, this is going to be our target for the ride-up turn. It's not the most powerful thing in the world, and can kind of poke at your opponent, give them a little bit more counterblast than they want to, but sometimes you can just end the game right then and there if they're not able to G-guard or whatever if you're going first. So it could be decent. Overall, I feel like that's not the strongest point of the deck. You really just want to get into your stride turn and just go balls to the wall, smack their face with the huge columns. And this guy copying the names definitely do that over here. So when you actually stride, you don't really use the skills over here, but that is fine. Next up, we are going to be running 2 of this card, and I will say this can be swapped for the regular, minus 10k Shiryuki if you really wanted to. But I was testing this, and I think this is kind of interesting. It helps with the name issue sometimes too of running out of Hyakkis. But this over here is going to be Covert Demonic Dragon Hyakki Zora. So Zora over here continues on rear or deck. This guy is also regarded as Hyakki Vogue reverse, not the regular one, which is unfortunate, so it won't see the power buff, but its main skill over here that we really want to use it for is auto on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, Counterblast 2 when this unit is placed, Soul Blast 2. When this guy is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 of Demonic Dragon Hyakki Vogue reverse, ride it as stand, shuffle your deck, and if you did, you basically get to countercharge 1. So this is a good ride for 2 reasons. We have a grade 2 that basically uses a counterblast, and as you can see, our main goal in this deck is to really get this guy off, and he uses a counterblast. And there's really not too many good counter chargers in Murakumo in general. So this guy definitely helps with that issue. On top of that, you're just basically guaranteeing, you know, if you didn't have this one in hand, it's hard not to see one, but if you didn't, you know, at least you get that Excel marker, because you need to just have as many as possible going into that turn. The Soul Blast 2 doesn't really hurt in this deck necessarily. There's plenty of soul to go around, really, and it's really only like your Soul Blasting 1 because he kind of replaces himself with the soul, you know, becomes part of your soul. So overall, not too bad. And again, you can swap this with Shiryuki if you want. I just feel like sometimes I was riding up into Shiryuki, just wasn't an impactful turn. I ended up blasting out, like, you know, like a decent amount of soul just in defense or whatever the case may be, and just it was okay overall. That is your choice, totally up to you. I think you can flex them in there if you really want to, but I kind of like this guy. I think that it is a decent option overall, and again, the counter charge on this grade 2 play is pretty big. So now mentioning that, we're going to hop right into the grade 2s. That is it for the grade 3s. Those are the main beaters of the deck right here. Oh, let me just get the 4th copy really quick. This is going to be 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Joan Chanter. I think that's how to say it. Very interesting card overall. At the beginning of your ride phase, counterblast 1. Choose a unit from choose one of your units. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that unit. Call to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. Act on rearguard circle. Put a normal unit from the drop or the bottom of your deck, and then choose one of your other units, and then until the end of turn, change this unit's card name to that card name, and then this guy gets boost. So the boost is actually really important. The first skill is okay. You know, you can just kind of build the field a little bit easier. You can go and get cards that kind of copy other names and become Hyakki, so you can just kind of power up if you really need to going into your grade 3 turn. But the second skill is actually really big. This is really good for 2 positions over here. So first off, you're regenerating and recycling some of your resources. You know, you can call that grade 2 the kind of, I'll show you later, that kind of just becomes a Hyakki by dumping something. So you can recycle it with this guy over here, the second skill. This is also pretty big because on your stride turn, I know I'm going to go ahead over here, you're basically going to have, you're going to flip up a G-Guard, the Shirabaku Victory, whatever the heck it's called over here. I'll just show it really quickly, but you're going to flip this guy up, and then essentially when your attack doesn't hit, you Soul Blast 1, call this guy out, but he's not going to see the power buff. He's just a 15k beater then. What you can do is keep this in the back row to potentially boost this guy to become a little bit more. So, you know, you have a Hyakki in front of him. You call, you know, you swing with that Hyakki, whatever, it goes, doesn't hit. You Soul Blast 1, this guy pops out, oh, it's a 15k beater, you know, your opponent hit a trigger, doesn't hit over. Guess what? This guy has boost now, so you can actually use the power buff that you got, you know, maybe it's 29, 39k column, plus 15 over here, so it actually becomes a little bit more impactful, and I kind of like this play. I leave that open just for the possibility. Sometimes it's more valuable just to have those multi-attacks, definitely for sure, but at the same time, just gives yourself that option. And you can put this behind the Vanguard too, because the Vanguard is not going to inherit the skill of becoming Hyakki, so you can just make that Vanguard like really hard to guard overall. Yeah, completely up to you, but pretty versatile card. I think it fits in a lot of different Murakumo decks, and I think it's definitely good in this one. And that's the counterblast that you kind of need to kind of recoup, in my opinion, by riding into the Hyakki Zora, who can counter charge 1. So that is the main play there. Speaking of counter charging over here too, luckily in this deck we do have some different options for it. Stealth Dragon Cadence Slayer. This guy, when it attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard Hyakki in its name, gets 2k. You don't really use it for that. It's real skill auto. Put this unit into your soul and choose a card from your drop zone. Put it onto the bottom of your deck. So good recursion. When your unit with Hyakki in its card name is placed on the same row as this unit, you may pay the cost. If we do, we counter charge 1. So again, you need as many counterblasts as possible to be live. Just really helps with that overall. Next up over here, this guy is still a decent card. You can up this to 3. I'll show you what you can cut, but I was just testing something else too for the ride up turn, which I feel is pretty decent. So Stealth Rogue of New Masks, Awuza, I don't know, something like that. Auto, when this guy is placed on rearguard circle, search for up to 1 card, discard it, shuffle your deck, and this guy gets that name until the end of turn. So again, really easy to become a Hyakki. So many things, so many cards recycle things from the drop in the main deck. Your stride does that as well, the main one that you want to go into. So really decent. On top of that too, just very simple, no cost associated with it. Just I feel like it fits this deck so well. I see some other players not really running it. I've seen a couple different lists of this overall, but I think it is actually decent, and I am including it at that 2 of. Lastly, over here again, you can make that the 3rd Awazu if you really want to, but this guy is interesting. This is a little bit of Shadow Switch. This guy's skill, this is Stealth Dragon Dual Weapon, so this was reprinted as well. Shadow Switch auto will retire this unit when the battle this unit attack the Vanguard. If that attack did not hit, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your grade 1 or grade 3 rearguards, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that unit, called the rearguard circle, shuffle your deck, and at the end of turn, put that unit called this effect onto the bottom of your deck. So this is also good for that grade 2, where, you know, you want to replace it, you know, swing, it doesn't hit, you want to replace it, call out another grade 3, have that grade 2 that could potentially boost over here behind it, could actually make that new attack that you've called out actually threatening. And again, it's pretty costless. It's not hard to get off. It's, you know, a little poke, so I think your opponent most of the time would block it, especially if they have interceptors, because we don't really have any board clear, major board clear at least, in this deck. Getting into the grade 1s now, done with the grade 2s, we are going to be looking at 4 of the Gateway Stealth Rogue Ataka, I think that's how to say it. Can't really read if that's an I or a T over there, but overall, this is just the top 5 searcher. When placed on Van or Rear, look at the top 5, add a grade 3 to hand. If you added a card, discard a card from your hand, and then during your turn, if 2 or more units have the same card name as any of your units, this guy gets an additional 5k. So if you go, you know, first, going second or whatever, on your first grade 1 turn, you are basically calling 2 of these down. You can actually get that extra 5k. It's not bad. It's not a hard requirement at all. At the same time, too, you don't really want to clog your board. You want to clog your board with, or fill your board with things that actually make the attacks later on and having the same name through your stride, and I'll show you how to do that. So just good for searching out those grade 3s early game. Next up over here, too, another card that is just so simple to kind of copy a name over here. I'm going to get 4 of. I know this is a pretty high count for this card, but I just feel like this is so simple, so easy, and has that boost capability as well, so you can kind of go into a lot of the same plays as that grade 2. But this is Stealth Beast Metamorphox, so when placed, you may change this card's name to one of your other units until the end of turn, so it will receive that Hyakki buff potentially. Simple, again, no cost. We're saving all of our costs for our Hyakki, just very, very simple. You want to change the name, get buffed up once, twice, 3 times, whatever, make it 38k, grade 1, who could potentially boost if you really want to, you know, drive it home with a hard attack. Next up, last over here for the grade 1s, this is going to be 2 of Cornered Stealth Rogue Benjishi, something like that. Auto, when your opponent's Sentinel is placed on Guardian Circle during the battle of your Vanguard attack, return a normal unit from your deck, for your drop zone, to your deck. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as your Vanguard, call it to Rearguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. So just making sure that, again, you can like do a lot of multi-attacks in this deck. This deck is very honest up front, and that is going to beat your face in with big numbers, but at the same time too, there's sneaky ways to like shadow switch and kind of do these things where, you know, new units are popping out on board. Again, a little bit of recursion is good in this deck. So and your opponent, you know, you can swing with something else first and then swing with your Vanguard. That way you at least have something to kind of like switch into over here if they decide to PG your Vanguard overall. So I do like this card. I think that, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's like okay. I think that it definitely deserves a spot in the deck. I think 2 of is just enough. You know, it doesn't really copy that Hyakki name. Things that don't copy the name, we don't really want, like, you know, more than 2 ofs in this deck. That's really the reality of the situation. And then over here too, again, something to kind of support the ride up turn. You don't really want to go into this once you stride, so it can be used as just like discard fodder, you know, shield, whatever the case is. But Stealth Dragon Hitodama Handler, I think that's how to say it. This guy over here is a Forerunner, but we're not really using him as our Forerunner because I just value the draw too much. This guy's skill, auto on Rearguard Circle. Choose this unit in a Covert Demonic Dragon Hyakki Vogue reverse on your Rearguard Circle. Put them into your soul when your Vanguard attacks. You may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 Hyakki Vogue reverse, call it to Rearguard Circle, shuffle your deck, and it gets 5k until the end of turn. And at the end of the turn, put that in the bottom of your deck. So most of the time when you swing, you're already going to have out like a ton of your Hyakki Vogues and stuff. That's why I kind of included this guy. So this guy is still included as a reverse in the deck and can just end up being another attack. And again, your grade 1s, you have that grade 2 who could potentially boost that guy, making that attack just a whole lot more. And it is getting the 5k. So if your opponent, you know, early on in the turn guarded stuff out, they didn't hit a trigger or anything, at least that guy that you call out is now a 16k Vanguard because it's 11k base, rear guard. So you can at least threaten for an attack, get maybe an extra card out of hand, which can make or break the deal for them. So interesting card. I feel like I mainly just use this on the ride up turn. I don't really go into it too much once I'm ready to set up on my stride turn, but overall I feel like this has come in handy once or twice. This guy over here too, this is going to be our starter, Stealth Beast Cat Devil. You can use any starter you want, really doesn't matter. Any V starter that gets a quick shield and draws. So that is it for the main deck. Let's hop into the triggers and then I'll get into the G zone. My trigger lineup for Murakumo is always a little bit strange, I'll totally admit it, but I feel like there's just benefits in versatility. It kind of throws your opponent off over here too, and there's a lot of things we need in the game. So over here I'm starting off with 2 of our draw triggers. This is the Dragon Empire ones that get an extra 5k. Just 10k shields are better than 5k shields, that simple, and we do discard a lot in this deck, so potentially sometimes drawing a little bit more is really good. On top of that too, we are still running 4 of the Draw Sentinels. Just definitely need them in this deck. The format, you know, numbers are absolutely huge. I know things are getting around PGs quite a bit, but at the same time too, you just kind of need them. I think the draw power, just the potential to guard out a big attack is there. So next up as well, no point not to run them really in this deck. We are running 4 of the regular Heal Guardians right there. So again, on your ride up turn, if you don't want, or if you know your opponent is on grade 3, they're ready to blow you out, just pop something down, either -2 crit, give an extra 10k. We do have some okay Kill Guardians in here too. We don't have anything too crazy. I kind of kept this on the more budget side, so I'm not including like Dismal or anything like that, but is an option as well for you. But next up over here, we are running 4 of our crit triggers. These are the grade 3 stride ones. I definitely think these are better than the in-soul 10k ones, in my opinion, just because we have so much power as is, and we need to kind of get into our stride sometimes. And again, these are just reprinted, so very, very cheap overall. One of the front triggers, just nice to have it in there, kind of switch it up if you want, make this another draw, totally cool. But I think that 20k shield and just sometimes hitting that front on like your second turn, maybe, you know, you've gotten to your second stride turn or whatever, you have 2 extra excel markers. These are already huge numbers, so buffing them up even more just feels nice. And then lastly, I'm running the vanilla over trigger. I would run the Dragon Empire one, I think, but I'm testing out the vanilla one. I think that both of them kind of work in the deck. It feels really nice overall, so you know, sometimes having that multi-attack, you know, boom, 100k on 2 different units that just PG'd my Vanguard feels pretty good overall. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching so far. Let's hop into the G-Zone, and then I'll test end. The G-Zone for this deck, honestly, is not too much at all, so it is, like I said, kind of like a very friendly, budget-friendly kind of deck. I'm not going to label it necessarily a budget deck because I want to, you know, I think it's like a strategy that could stand on its own 2 legs, just happens to be budget. It's not really built that way. But this guy over here, the new stride, is pretty much the center focus of our G-Zone overall. This is the main stride. This is your first stride. You can be your second, third stride. You know, you could just go into it every single turn. But this guy over here is Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue. Oh my god, Izushiyome? I don't know, something like that. I don't really do too well with Japanese names, but obviously the stride skill, you know, discard the grade up to a grade 3. Its skill over here, act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Counterblast 1, put a normal unit from your drop zone onto the bottom of your deck. Turn a card from your G zone face up, put 2 of your rear guards. Choose up to 2 of your rear guards, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name of each of those units, call into rear guard circle, and then shuffle our deck. So again, a little bit of recursion right there. Also just easily spamming out those Hyakki units. You don't need to, you know, be using the regular Hyakki reverse to go and grab other Hyakkis, and again, just recycling those cards back into deck. And its second skill, or third skill rather, continuous on Vanguard Circle. All of your units when this card's with the same card name as another one of your units can attack from the back row. So everybody's going to have that Hyakki name. That's absolutely fine. Everybody with that can actually attack from the back row. So if you want, like I said too, you can boost from the back, make them really powerful, or you could just attack over here. And that's really the main strategy of this deck. So you're going to be drive checking 3 times, you know, your big swings. You have a little bit of shadow switch going on over here too. And the main card that you do want to flip up over here, let's move right along, is going to be this card. So this is going to be Ambush Demon Stealth Dragon Shibaraku Victor. So Victor is a really solid card. Been around for a while now. This is the reprinted version of it over here. So we got a nice little, you know, triple rare foiling modern kind of card. Again, stride step thing, but its real skill, act on Vanguard, or rather its second skill, but let's go over the first one. Act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Soul Blast 1, turn a card from your G zone face up, reveal 7 cards on top of your deck. Put a total of up to 2 cards with the same card name as a card on your rear guard circle into your drop, or in your drop from among them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So you can, you know, if you have some grade 1s, you want to bulk out or something, you can totally do that. You could add more Hyakkis, whatever the case is. The real thing that you're going to use in this card for is the shadow switch ability, which is the second one, auto in G zone. When your rear guard attacks a Vanguard and it did not hit, you basically get to Soul Blast 1 and call this card to rear guard circle. So, you know, you flip it up with this guy over here. This guy is active, you know, one of your Hyakki swings doesn't hit, Soul Blast 1, just pop this out. And again, you can make this just a 15k swing because it is a 15k beater at that point. Or if you want to, you know, just have it get boosted by Hyakki if your opponent has guarded out a couple different things. So yeah, not too bad overall. Definitely like a solid little strategy. That first stride is just so good for the deck. Really just lets your whole field go live and start swinging for the hills. Next up over here to another card, another Shibaraku. This is Shibaraku, how do you say this one? Buster. Very interesting card. This came out quite a while ago. I don't think there's a reprint for it, but it's not too expensive overall. Its skill, act on Vanguard Circle once per turn, GB2. We get to Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 2. Choose a card from our hand and then discard it. Choose a card from our drop zone and return it to your deck. And then choose one of your units, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that unit, call it the rear guard circle, and shuffle your deck. Till the end of turn, the unit called this effect gets this unit performs drive check for only the first battle during the turn, and then at the end of turn, put that unit onto the bottom of your deck. So recycling, again, if you want a little bit more hit pressure with a drive check, if you need to maybe bulk out a little bit more than you think you're going to do with your main stride, you can go into this. It is a little bit costly, but overall, we don't really use too much Soul Blast in this outside of Shibaraku Victor. There is, you know, obviously the reverse as well, but you know, in total, there's really not like a resource problem in terms of soul. Counterblast, you know, a bit heavy, but At the same time, too, there are ways to actually countercharge in this deck, unlike so many other Murakumo decks. So I actually do like this card. I think 2 copies, it is fine in the G zone, gives you a little bit more flexibility as well. Next up over here, we are going to be running into another reprinted card. I'm still running 2 of this. This is Dharma Deity of 5 Yasui Genma. Act on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, we Soul Blast 1, choose a face down card with the same name as this guy, and turn it face up. Choose a card from our rearguard or drop zone, and then search for up to 1 card with the same name as that card from our deck, called Rearguard Circle. Shuffle our deck, and at the end of that turn, return that called unit to your hand. You could also Shadow Switch this guy, auto, on Vanguard Circle, GB3. At the end of the battle that your unit attacked a Vanguard, that this unit attacked a Vanguard. That attack did not hit, choose up to 5 of my rearguards, and they get 5k, plus an extra crit until the end of turn. So if you wanted to, you know, if all your Hyakkis are on board, and, you know, you actually have like 1 or 2 Excel markers going, you want to just make them hit for a little bit more, maybe, you know, you're at 4 damage, you know they're going to PG and just not let this Vanguard hit in general. You can make all of your other attacks that are buffed up really, really strong and kind of put them in a bad position with this. Just an option. Again, you know, your main strat is what it is, but these are just other things you can kind of go into to play around it. And again, that doesn't need a counterblast, so that's just a soul blast. So at the same time, if you want to go into, maybe, you know, you have a very sparse amount of counterblasts available, you can go into that. And just speaking along those same lines, I'm still running 1 of these guys. You can swap this out for like the Progenitor Dragon, Dragveta, whatever you want, but I think this is actually okay. This is Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Hyakki Vogue Nayuta. Its skill: act on Vanguard Circle, choose 1 of your rearguards with Hyakki in its card name, put it onto the bottom of your deck, and if you have a heart card with Hyakki in its card name, choose 1 of your units, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that unit, called Rearguard Circle, shuffle your deck, and that guy gets 10k until the end of turn. At the end of turn, add that card back to your hand. So just essentially, you don't need to actually counterblast for this. Sometimes they're not going to leave you open with any counterblast. You can still at least get a Hyakki, get a little bigger of an attack. Maybe, you know, actually calling that Hyakki down unlocks, you know, in the same row, another your grade 2 rearguard that basically does the counter charge. So, you know, if you have no counter charge to play with, boom, that at least opens you up for 1, and you're going to be aiming at 10k. You know, you go off with that Hyakki with that same ability. You're basically buffing up every other Hyakki on the field, another 10k. So with no counterblast, you just made a counter charge, and essentially, you know, you can go live with at least something over there. So it is a decent card overall. And then lastly, I am running the GB8 in here. This is actually a really good GB8. Not really often that we go into it, but for those longer games that really do drag on, you can definitely go into this. This is Ambush Demon Stealth Drag Mandala Ryu. So this guy: act on Vanguard Circle, once per turn, GB8. Choose 2 cards from your drop zone, return them to your deck. Search your deck for up to 2 cards with the same name as this unit, so basically a heart card. Call them separate Rearguard Circle, and then until the end of turn, they get Shadow Switch. Choose 3 cards from your hand, discard them at the end of battle that your Vanguard attack. The attack did not hit, pay the cost. If you do, move this unit onto Vanguard Circle as stand and shuffle your deck. I don't know if that counts as, like, it says move it onto the Rearguard Vanguard Circle, so I don't know if it's like ride it as stand or whatever. So I don't know if you actually get the Excel marker. I have to double check with that, but if anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. But overall, essentially just making 3 Vanguard attacks where everything is gonna kind of, you know, it's either take this or I'm gonna do it again and again. Is pretty scary overall. So the GB8 is in there just for, you know, giggles. Over here too, starting off with the G guards. So I'm running 2 of the new G guards. It's going to be Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Aizen. So Aizen's skill, basically it's G-Guard, so obviously you have to discard a Heal Guardian from your hand, but when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose 1 of your rear guards, and it gets auto. In a battle that your opponent's attacked, if that attack did not hit, you get to Soul Blast 1, and you may choose this unit and return it back to your hand. Until the end of turn, this guy gets an additional 10k until the end of turn for each of your units with the same card name as the chosen unit. So essentially, you choose a Hyakki, you have 4 other Hyakkis on the field. This gets really buffed up. On top of that, you could at least secure a ride for next turn by popping that back to hand, but with just a Soul Blast. Again, not really like a Soul Blast issue in this deck, so it's interesting. At times this comes up being good, at times, you know, it's okay. Depends on if you're trying to like clear your field. If your opponent clears your field, it's not too great, but overall I think that just recurring that back to hand, that Hyakki, and guaranteeing your ride for next turn is pretty decent overall. Next up too, I got Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Shishizuki, something like that. This was reprinted as well. So this guy's skill: when this is placed on Guardian Circle during the battle your Vanguard was attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, choose up to 1 of your rear guards, move it to Guardian Circle. It gets an additional 5k. This unit gets, and that unit gets an additional 5k, sorry, until the end of the battle. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as that unit, call it the Guardian Circle, and shuffle your deck. So you really just want to put like a grade 1 on there, and there is a case for using the what was it? The overdress, you know, little, or even the in-theme Murakumo ones, to be honest. perfect guards over here instead of some of those grade zeros. Maybe I was just trying that out. I think my build is a little bit more aggressive, but you definitely can defense out, and this is a really good card in that instance. And along that same line, I think this pretty much does very similar kind of thing, but over here. But this is Ambush Demon Stealth Fiend Hogan Wing. So this guy, when placed on Guardian Circle, choose one of your grade 1 or greater rear guard, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same grade as that chosen unit, call it the Guardian Circle, shuffle your deck, and at the end of battle that unit gets, when this unit is put into the drop zone from Guardian Circle, put that into the bottom of your deck. So again, just a little bit more recursion. You can search out units. Not too bad overall, and that is pretty much it for the G zone. Overall, just like I said, not too cheap. I mean, not too expensive. Pretty cheap. This is your main stride. Flip this guy up, go for a shadow switch attack if you need to. Everything else in here is really just for like a flex kind of strategy, but that is the main guy over here. So you definitely want him going to this turn after turn. So cool. Without any further ado, let's hop right into a test stand. I'll show you guys how the deck plays out. All right, let's shuffle up and get started over here. Overall, really fun deck. I think it's pretty honest. Just, you know, beat your opponent down. This is just kind of the name of the game, but you build a board really easily, create really nice power columns. I think overall, like this deck is just, it's pretty like upper middle of the pack, I would say. I think that it can catch a lot of other decks off guard, especially if you're not playing like super meta relevant decks. I think you have a really strong chance against most matchups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Things like Nightmare Dolls, you can kind of just overwhelm them immediately, which is nice. I'm going to put back 1, 2. I'm actually going to put back 3 over here. And didn't really get anything too great out of our opening hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. We do at least, we're able to ride and whatnot. So let's see, we're not going to get grade stuck. We're going to shuffle up over here, and then let's get started with our test hand. And we're going to pretend we go first, just so I can kind of demonstrate that stride and just go into it for 1 turn, just to show you kind of like the main idea of the deck with a little bit more time focus. All right. Then we're going to pass it over. Actually, no. There my opponent goes. I'm going to stand and draw over here. Nice. We got 2 Hyakkis in our hand, which is pretty good. I'm just going to ride this guy over here. Don't really need to do anything else. We're going to draw off of that ride. Get a quick shield. I don't think I'm going to do anything else. We're not really going to push because you want to save her for your stride turn. Ideally, we're going to swing at our Vanguard over here because we went second. We're going to boom, power draw over here. Okay. Starting off pretty decent. Got 2 PGs in my hand, which is not too bad. Going to pass it over to my opponent now. Let's take damage for their turn. Now it's 1 Hyakki. Let's say we get another one. Okay. That is our ideal ride target for grade 2, but it's okay. Stand and draw right here. We are going to just, I'm going to just go into the shadow switch one. There's no real purpose of doing anything else at the moment. Let's see, 2. I'm going to call, I think I'm going to call this down to top 5. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, do I get a grade 3? No grade 3 there, but not terrible. Don't really need one at the moment. Be able to search plenty of them out. Okay, we're going to swing at our opponent now. This is going to be just 1 drive check. There we are. Going to pass it now over, and now this is their ride up turn. So just assuming they do go to grade 3, let's take 1 damage, 2 damage. All right. You know what? I think the resources. Let's just go C5. All right, no triggers, of course. That's how the game goes sometimes. You know, it is what it is. But let's see. Let's start guarding stuff out over here. We're going to guard with 15k right there. We are going to PG something. Boom. That's fine. And, you know, we took a bunch of other damage. I think we're all right there. So we're going to stand and draw now. Of course, the last one was a heal. Of course, that's when I see it. But I am going to ride the reverse right over here. Going to get an Excel 2. Just grab that. I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to then draw off of the Excel 2. Of course, it was another heal 2. That's where all my heals are hanging out, just in my draws. Let's go and stride now over here. Don't have the stride crit, which is kind of unfortunate, but we can discard the Hyakki. I could go and get other things too. Do I want to do this? You know what? No, I'm just going to discard the Heal Guardian real quick. Going to go into the stride right there. I'm just going to do that one because it's a little more legible to read. So overall, what do I want to do now? Normal card from my drop zone at the bottom of my deck. Turn a card from my G zone face up. Choose 2 of my rear guards. Search my deck for up to 1 with each of those card names. So what do I want to do? Let's call this down right here. Also going to call, do I want to do that? Yeah, I'm going to call this one right there. And then I'm going to also call this, and I'm going to copy her name here, or his name, sorry. So this is Hyakki Vogue. I'm going to counterblast 1. Turn a card from my G zone face up. Let's just turn Shirabaku Victor again face up. Whoops, it's not that one. This guy over here. So now we can kind of do that shadow switch attack if something misses. And we don't have the grade 2, unfortunately, in the back row to kind of give that guy the boost, but we do have the grade 1. So when we eventually do buff out our field, it's going to be fine. So we're going to search for up to 2 cards with the same name. So I'm going to search out 2 Hyakkis. Let's do that right here. Okay, where are they? 1 and 2. Alright, and then his skill goes off over here when this put this card into my normal card from my thing also goes into the bottom of my deck, but I'm also going to choose a card from my drop zone, put it on the bottom of my deck, put this into soul. Then when my unit with Hyakki is placed, I'm going to counter charge 1. So I'm going to put this in. There we are. Going to counter charge 1. I'm going to activate one of their skills. I'm going to counterblast 1, discard a card from my hand. I'm going to counterblast 1, discard a card from my hand. I'm going to go search out a Hyakki. There we are. And again, the reverses have the same name, so in deck as well. So I'm just going to call that out right there. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hyakkis. So all of those guys are going to basically get an additional. So that was a 10k. I'm going to do just one more because I only have one more card in my hand. I would basically discard as much as I can. There we are. And just give everything 10k again. So now I'm at a 20k to all of my rear guards in general except for this one. So I am going to open up. First off, I'm going to go into this guy. This is going to be 29 plus that. That's 34 at my opponent's Vanguard. Let's say that one did hit or whatever. That's fine. I can then swing over here. Let's go. First check. Second check. Third check. Of course, no triggers. That's how it goes. We're gonna swing again. This guy is not gonna hit. Let's say that we are going to Soul Blast 1. Then I'm gonna Soul Blast out. Let's Soul Blast out this guy. There we are. And then I'm going to call this guy on top, right over there. Okay. I'm gonna give, depending on how if they hit triggers, whatever, this and that, like I would probably go for a multi-attack here, 15k in. This is going to be 32. This is going to be 32. This is also going to be 32. And that's just kind of the name of the game. I think that with like 1 or 2 triggers, things could have been a little bit different. Of course, we got no damage triggers either, so I really took myself to 5. You do need counterblast, but at the same time too, it just, this is how the game sometimes plays out. Overall, I think this is pretty powerful. The multi-attack that you can do in this deck is strong. If you have a stronger early game too, you are able to kind of push your opponent a little bit further. They could be on their back heels by the time you pull a big board like this off. So as you can see, very easy to do overall. Set yourself up for a nice little G guard next turn. Really not too bad at all. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know any edits you would make to the deck. Again, just kind of being a little bit budget conscious when building this, but not really focusing on that necessarily. So a lot of choices were kind of, I think, made with that in mind. But thank you again. Let me know any questions down below. This is Alex from Team Generation signing out.